What's up, traders, and welcome to a market analysis video. Today is September 2nd, 2024. We're going to look at gold as well as dollar here and prepare ourselves for the upcoming economic events that we have. All right, let's be aware of the upcoming events. So we're going to take a look at gold first from a technical perspective, and then we'll take a look at the economic calendar and see what are the potential moves that we can have for this week. So looking at gold here first, we can see that price on the daily time frame, we have a lot of rejections over here towards these upside. And so that's why if on Friday you were here with us trading live, then you would have understood that that's why we were looking out for those pullbacks, because we were seeing rejections around those highs over there. If we start to zoom in, we're going to start to see the zones that we have marked off. Again, we can see that on Friday was the day that we did have this large pullback. And so after that pullback, let's take a look at this on the 1 hour. Again, when we got those rejections towards those highs and we started to do these pullbacks on Friday, this is the structure that we've been following on this new day. Now, this new day, it was Labor Day. We did have less optimal conditions to be trading in. And so that's giving us a little bit of a range over here. But again, overall, look at the structure that we're on from an intraday perspective. So even though gold is still more bullish on the higher time frames, like if we were to look at the daily time frame again, gold is still bullish, right? But again, because we are more like intraday traders, we want to be able to adapt to the price action that we have at hand over here. So currently, again, to look out for continued pullbacks, we can see that even if prices to do some pullbacks up into this area to 2506 and give us further rejections, then we know that that's going to be respecting that intraday bias that we're following here, and we can look out for continued sells. The other clear bias for me, for us to get that clear direction of where price is going, is now that we've gotten basically two rejections of this area over here, then I would want to see price just continuing towards the downside, possibly giving us some breaks and retests, targeting these lows. And then of course, we'll just wait for price to actually close below this area to look out for even deeper pullbacks. But again, I would want to be cautious around this area just in case price is going to bounce kind of like it did similar over here. You can see that the move that we're looking out for, like over here, these sells, is basically that same idea. You can see price was very bullish, got to this area, and then had some deeper pullbacks and some rejections where we could adapt to those sells and we can take advantage of some moves. So it got to this demand zone over here. You can see it actually tried to do it as well around this area. Once price got below the zone, it almost tapped into that same area, but again, that's where those buyers stepped in. So that's why I would want to be cautious around this zone in case we are going to get some bounces and potentially just continue towards the upside. Excuse me, let me just put this arrow right here so we can get that visual representation. But again, around, for us to really look out for continued buys, we want to be breaking and closing around or above these highs over here. So that way we can basically be canceling out that intraday structure. And then we know from a higher time frame perspective, gold is just going to continue bullish above this zone. So now that we have a few ideas listed off, we have a few zones. How are we actually going to be able to validate these ideas? Like, how could we see gold actually continue towards the upside or towards the downside, right? So let's start talking about dollar here, and let's actually connect the economic calendar. I have it pulled up right here. So for the US this week, the main focus this week is going to be the labor market reading reports that we have. So we have, for example, like on Wednesday, some job openings. We have on Thursday, we have ADP employment change, as well as the jobless claims over here. Remember that this is 8:30 a.m. So this is Eastern hours, just around that New York market open hours. And then on Friday, the most important one, we have NFP and we have the unemployment rate. Now, also throughout the week, the other reports that we want to look out for are going to be these PMI figures that we have, like for example, tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. No, I don't think we have anything on Wednesday. I believe it was on Thursday around. Yeah, we have some ISM services PMI on Thursday, again at 10 a.m., as well as these global composite, as well as services PMIs. So we do have some other reports to look out for. So going back to price action here and talking now about the fundamentals, remember guys that when we start to look at gold, just to do a quick fundamental review here, when we take a look at gold, then we ask ourselves, why is it that gold has been trending towards the upside when we're looking at this from a macro perspective, right? Like when we're looking at the higher time frames, like the weekly, the monthly, we got to ask ourselves, what is it that's influencing these prices of gold to just continue towards the upside? So again, because we understand that fundamental narrative being that the Federal Reserve is going to most likely start to cut rates, that has been more of a negative catalyst for dollar. So if we take a look at dollar and correlate that with gold, we can see that dollar over the past couple of weeks, it has been more on the bearish side, kind of just following this technical. It was just basically, I don't want to say on a free fall, but again, when we take a look at this structure that we're drawing out here, we can see that that's just very clean bearish structure. And again, when we take a look at gold, it's basically the same thing from a technical perspective. We can see that gold has just been trending towards the upside here, right? So for us to, let's say, if we want to ask ourselves the question of, for us to continue seeing gold continue towards the upside, what are we going to want to see from the economic reports? For the economic reports, or excuse me, for price on gold to continue towards the upside, we're going to want to see like these growth figures that we have tomorrow, these PMI reports, we want to see them coming out negative. Or we can say, like, for example, if we click on this, you can see that over here it gives you a definition of whenever you see a reading above 50, it indicates that there's an overall increase compared to the previous month. Below 50, that's an overall decrease. To put it into basic terms or in technical terms, one is going to be bullish, the other one is going to be bearish. The one that's going to be bullish for gold, we would want to see it decreasing, because if it's decreasing, that's going to be something that's negative for dollar. So if dollar is going to have a negative fundamental catalyst, that's going to continue pushing it towards the downside, and us correlating gold with that, that's going to be able to continue pushing those prices on gold towards the upside. And then it's just vice versa, right? If we see that the figures, right, that we have tomorrow, and go back to the calendar, let's say, for example, we have some positive or some optimistic data tomorrow and it's coming out above 50, showing us an increase, then that's going to give us a reason for us to understand that most likely dollar is going to start to continue doing a pullback and it's going to continue bouncing as it's doing at this moment. And then gold is also going to do some deeper pullbacks towards the downside. Now, because NFP is later on this week, I won't dive too deep into this report, but what I will do is I'll drop a breakdown and I'll make sure to talk about these reports, so that way we can understand throughout the week what it is that we want to be looking out for. Because again, now that price, you can see that price on gold has been more like kind of stuck in this range. If we start to get data giving us a clear indication of what the US economy is doing, like let me give you an example. Like if we see the data reports coming out very optimistic and we see the labor market also coming out optimistic, then you're going to see dollar continuing more of on a pullback and on a bullish run, at least short term. And that's going to give a reason for gold to actually do some more bearish pullbacks, again, at least short term. And then you just got to flip it vice versa. If you see the labor market readings coming out negative, so basically going in favor with what the Fed wants to see. So if it's going in favor with what the Fed wants to see, which they clearly stated that they wanted to see that unemployment rate still going a little bit more towards the upside, again, that's going to push that Fed rate cut narrative. That's most likely going to push them to actually do those rate cuts. So the market's jumping ahead of time, they're going to start to turn more bullish. So again, for gold to turn more bullish, we're going to see negative. You're going to most likely see negative growth data reports, and you're going to see continued downside on dollar. And then you're going to also get those negative, or yeah, I guess you can call them negative. You're going to see those bad labor market readings. And again, that's going to most likely continue pushing gold towards the upside. But I'll drop a breakdown for you guys, so that way we don't have to make this video too long and we can leave it at this, and we'll take a look at what the markets have done tomorrow. All right, guys. So take care, and I will see you all in the next video.